Look at me. Now look at yourself. Now look at the people around you. Think of your neighbors at home. Think of the celebrities. Think of the politicians. What's similar about us all? We are all human beings. We all come from one speck in the Milky Way galaxy, in the universe. Yet we, as a people, as the most complex, highly educated, and technologically advanced species that has ever existed on our little speck, we created a way to label each other. We came up with a way to try to distinguish each other. I'm talking about the socially constructed term we use to describe ourselves and each other. Race. You see in me as Hispanic, those of you who know me from Monkey Reviewer. Why? When did you learn how to tell people apart? Classify them? When? I don't know. You don't know. My parents, my grandparents, your grandparents. They don't know. Your friends don't know. Humanity has the curiosity that no other organism we know has. We seek to know what we don't know already, and we want to change those things. We didn't know how evolution worked, or if it even existed. Now we can trace our entire existence to a handful of bacteria. We didn't know how to pick cotton at a steady rate. Now we have factories producing hundreds of articles of clothing made with the material around the world daily. So I ask the question, why is this socially constructed thing so influential in our society? Why is it that you can get killed because of the color of your skin and the neighborhood that you live in? Why is it acceptable? You know that 51% of African American youth is unemployed. That the 400 richest Americans are richer than all 16 million African Americans and a third of Hispanics combined. It's ridiculous that homes have more value if owned by a white person, by almost 50%. Isn't this the United States of America, where a person can have the same opportunity as everyone else, no matter if you are white, black, yellow, orange, or red? But we can never have the opportunity we aim for if we hold on to those terms, if we insult each other with them, if we are ashamed to be called by them. The fact of the matter is that we need to stop seeing each other as a certain race. We are the most privileged, educated, and technologically advanced generation of this species and any other species on the planet. And we are going to end racism and the system that bases what we earn and what we live on and what we live for. But a cause requires motivation to it. Race in our communities, our government, and ourselves is indicative, some would say, of the type of people that live in a certain area. People hear majority black neighborhood and they think high poverty. They hear majority Hispanic and they think high crime. Is it because of that mentality we think of scary statistics, and we fail to see the problems in them, such as the fact that 13% of the U.S. population is black. They make up 14% of the monthly drug users, and they are 37% of all drug-related arrests. Or in New York City, where a police officer can stop you for no reason at all and search your person. 80% of those stopped were African American and Hispanic. 85% of that 80% were searched. Only 8% of the people stopped were white. This is happening in a city over 44% white, in a state that is over 70% white. How about this one? 51% of Americans, that's over half, expressed anti-black sentiments in 2012. What's worse still is that was a 3% increase from 2008. 52% of non-Hispanic white people expressed anti-Hispanic attitudes. This one applies to you the most. If you are an African American born in 2001, you have a 32% chance of going to jail. If you are Hispanic, 17%. If you are white, just 6%. That statistic came from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, a government agency under the Department of Justice. Yet nothing has changed. Look, removing race from the whole picture forever just won't happen anytime soon. But it should at least not matter. If we are looking at the statistics of race, then shouldn't it be equal? Better yet, shouldn't it be made equal? The problem with crime and race is that it's circular. Police started patrolling minority neighborhoods after slavery, locking them up for the smallest of offenses. As time went on, instead of being two sides of the same coin, minorities became the scapegoat, and they were blamed for the problems in society. Minorities are blamed for the gangs, but what did you expect would happen if you forced people into enclosures, killed them if they so much as stepped onto your beach, then regulate them more harshly, severely, and more unjust than you would do to yourself? We are people. Alone we see ourselves as weak in nature. Put one man up against the lion eats. Put one lion against 3 humans, different outcome. So how can you blame them for turning to the life that they were forced into? 2/3 of the people given life sentences were non-white in the state of New York. Again, a state with 70% white population. Race is not a new problem. We saw it with slavery, with internment camps for the Japanese Americans in World War II. And we have seen it on the streets of every single major metropolitan area in the United States. We see it in politics. How France, a nation which has seen a dozen terror attacks over the past year, still vows to accept 100,000 Syrian refugees. One of the major political parties in the United States and over 30 governors, including my own, vow to not accept any refugees. These are people fleeing our enemy. At least, the ball is moving. As of my own observation, racism is the top trending search on facts.net. Wow, right? People want to know what's going on in our society. I want to know why the system is broken. Was it broken from the beginning? Or was there a pioneer of race? Did we point out something on another person's body? Or did we just make it all up? Where did our idea of race come from? Where did the anger and hate begin? And why did it begin? Here's how we stop this. We elect better officials. Take money out of politics. Involve ourselves. We have every fact and statistic we want at our disposal, and we have a right to get it. We form protests. We show them that we will only accept fairness, not aggression, policy over policing. We regulate locally elected officials. Race, you might say, though, is important. How else will we know our differences and be unique? How else do we describe ourselves? The answer is difficult to find, but it is there. We use culture, nationality, a fact. Or we accept that we are different, and we don't need someone to tell us that we're black or we're white. We ignore those people who tell us those things. If someone asks, "What's your race?" how will you answer? How do you think of yourself? Do you say, "I'm white," and end it there? Or do you say, "My family's heritage is whatever, and I am culturally an American," or a Chicagoan, or whatever you identify yourself as? How do you end racism? You pull race out of the picture. Of course, there's not one or two, but dozens and dozens of examples where the system protects racism. Whether it be with segregated communities or rigged elections, police brutality or systemic corruption, district dividing or redlining. To whom do we plead to fix this? Look at me. Look at yourself. Now look at the people around you. Think of your neighbors at home. Think of the celebrities. of the politicians. We are all similar in our voices because we are all human. We are the most technologically advanced species in the history of the world, with over 7 billion people all over the world. I'd like to think that if we all thought about it, whispered about it, corrected others, used ethnicity instead of race, believe that where your parents are from does not dictate the life that you will live. Work together to eliminate racial injustice, then remove race. We are all one people. It is about time that we, not just as Chicagoans or New Yorkers, or just as Americans, as citizens of the human race, we say no more to something made up. And then we can have a lasting peace.